stop what you are doing right now and look at the changing geometry of European warfare. NATO has just initiated a strategic maneuver that could fundamentally alter the trajectory of the war in Ukraine and potentially sign a logistical death sentence for the Russian armed forces. While the world's attention remains fixed on tactical grinding along the Donbas line, the North Atlantic Alliance is quietly engineering a massive financial and military infrastructure package. This is not just another standard shipment of surplus ammunition. It is a coordinated, multi-year economic mobilization designed to match and eventually overwhelm Russia's wartime economy. The catalyst for this shift began on June 11th, when reports surfaced of a high-level anonymous appeal from a senior Ukrainian defense official. Speaking to international media, the official delivered a blunt assessment of the current theater of operations. Everyone sees that Russia is burning, and we want to burn it even more, but we need the financing to do it. Historically, Ukraine's procurement has been a reactionary process, begging for specific platforms like Patriots, Leopards, or F-16s ahead of major Russian offensives. But at the upcoming Ukraine Defense Contact Group, widely known as the Ramstein format, Kyiv is shifting its strategy from tactical requests to institutional financing. Their initial target, a clean $20 billion in hard liquidity, Ukraine went to its allies asking for $20 billion. NATO's response, hold my beer, in a move that has caught military analysts and the Kremlin completely off guard. The alliance is not merely meeting Kyiv's request, it is preparing to quadruple it. Diplomatic leaks indicate that NATO is working to ratify a massive $80 billion military aid framework for the remainder of 2026. This comprehensive package is slated to be formalized at the upcoming Ankara summit. To understand how this massive escalation occurred, we must look at the shifting dynamics within NATO's leadership. Previously, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte proposed a rigid mechanism requiring every member state to dedicate a fixed 0.25% of their gross domestic product directly to Ukraine. Recognizing the deadlock, Berlin stepped in with a highly sophisticated counter-proposal. The new German mechanism decouples aid from rigid GDP percentages, offering member states tactical flexibility while maximizing total output. The architecture of this $80 billion package is a masterclass in coalition financing. It integrates approximately $35 billion in macro financial loans backed by frozen Russian sovereign assets through the European Union. This leaves the remaining $45 billion to be covered via flexible bilateral military aid programs. Crucially, this new framework introduces a centralized transparency index. For the first time, every dollar shell and drone donated will be tracked on an open ledger within the alliance. This addresses a growing grievance among frontline states, particularly the Nordic coalition. In late 2025, Sweden's foreign minister pointedly noted that the Nordic countries, with a combined population of less than 30 million people, were shouldering nearly one-third of the entire European military support burden, while wealthier nations in Southern and Central Europe lagged behind. The German proposal corrects this imbalance, distributing the financial weight across NATO's 1 billion strong population base on a far more sustainable footprint. Why is Europe suddenly willing to risk billions of dollars in unbacked financing? The answer lies in a chilling consensus across Western intelligence agencies. The war in Ukraine is no longer viewed as an isolated conflict, but as the opening salvo of a broader European conflagration. Lieutenant General Christian Freuding, the head of Germany's military planning, recently issued a stark declassified warning. It is no longer a question of if Russia will attempt an incursion into NATO territory, but when. And according to synchronized NATO intelligence, the Kremlin is projected to rebuild its conventional offensive capability to strike a NATO partner as early as the year 2029. Let's look at the raw military data. Satellite intelligence reveals that Russia is currently executing an aggressive infrastructure expansion along its western frontier. New military installations and expanded garrisons are being erected at a rapid pace near the borders of Finland, Sweden, Norway, and the Baltic states. These bases are being structurally designed to house, supply, and deploy an estimated 115,000 elite frontline troops. From a purely doctrinal perspective, NATO realizes that the cheapest way to defend Vilnius, Tallinn, and Helsinki in 2029 is to attrit the Russian military to the point of structural collapse in Ukraine today. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky summarized this strategic reality perfectly. Ukraine's battle-tested veterans possess priceless tactical knowledge in countering modern Russian electronic warfare drone swarms and massed artillery tactics. By funding Ukraine, NATO is effectively buying a proxy defensive shield. If Ukraine holds, Russia's 2029 timeline is shattered. If Ukraine falls, the Baltic plains become the next mechanized graveyard. However, this $80 billion European surge must be viewed through the lens of a massive geopolitical shift across the Atlantic. The United States, traditionally the undisputed financial heavyweight of the alliance, has transformed into a volatile wild card. Under the current Trump administration, the multi-billion-dollar direct military aid packages that characterized the early years of the conflict have completely dried up. A deep dive into Washington's record-breaking $1.5 trillion defense budget proposal for the 2027 fiscal year reveals a telling omission. There is no explicit allocation for direct, uncompensated security assistance to Ukraine. While the U.S. Senate Armed Services Committee recently advanced a bill to extend a modest $750 million to Ukraine, this remains locked in legislative limbo, facing fierce opposition in a highly fractured Congress. To bypass this American political gridlock, European planners have engineered a brilliant workaround known as the Pearl Initiative, the prioritized Ukraine requirements list. The mechanics of Pearl are simple, yet effective. European nations provide the hard cash, which Ukraine then uses to directly purchase brand new cutting-edge hardware directly from American defense contractors like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and General Dynamics. This creates a win-win scenario. Washington satisfies its isolationist domestic political base by ensuring no American taxpayer dollars are directly sent abroad, while the U.S. defense industrial base receives billions in manufacturing orders. Most importantly, Ukraine still gets its hands on high-end American munitions, including ATACMS missiles, Patriot interceptors, and advanced electronic warfare suite. During a recent NATO Parliamentary Assembly, Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister dropped a bombshell. He stated that if Western allies provided adequate capital, Ukraine possessed the manufacturing infrastructure to scale its domestic drone production to a mind-boggling 20 million units per year. This is a five-fold increase over their already formidable 2025 production rates. Consider the terrifying military implications for the Russian General Staff. Even now, under tight budget constraints, Ukrainian forces maintain a clear 1.5 to 1 advantage in first-person view strike drones. In May alone, Ukrainian drone operators successfully neutralized or damaged over 180,000 Russian military targets, ranging from heavy main battle tanks and logistics trucks to individual dugouts. This represents a massive 12.7% increase over the previous month. Furthermore, Ukraine has successfully deployed a dense layer of specialized interceptor drones. These low-cost, high-speed UAVs autonomously hunt and destroy Russian-operated Iranian Shahed drones mid-air, effectively neutralizing Russia's multi-million-dollar strategic bombing campaigns for a fraction of the cost. Now imagine that defensive capability multiplied by 5. An army of 20 million drones means that every single Russian soldier crossing into sovereign Ukrainian territory could be targeted by multiple coordinated loitering munitions. It means the complete neutralization of Russian armored vehicles, the absolute interdiction of Russian supply lines up to 50 kilometers behind the front, and the total degradation of the Kremlin's artillery dominance. Russia would be forced out of a stalemate and into a rapid, chaotic retreat. The strategic crossroads will be reached this July at the Ankara summit. If NATO formalizes the German proposal, the $80 billion will flow, the drone factories will spin up to maximum capacity, and Vladimir Putin's long-term imperial ambitions will face an insurmountable wall of European steel and silicon. What do you think? Can Europe successfully sustain Ukraine without direct American financial backing? And can a 20 million unit drone army completely break the back of conventional Russian military doctrine? Let us know your analysis in the comments below. If you want to stay ahead of the curve with daily data-driven military breakdowns you won't see in mainstream media, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next briefing.